something along the line.
You're unmuted.
Now I can't tell my story.
You got 9 seconds.
Okay, here we go. Welcome, everyone. This is the Benzie County Board of Commissioner study session. Today is January 13th, 2026. We are in the Frank Walter House boardroom. Could I get a roll call, please?
Jeanette,
Here.
Markey,
I think I'm here.
Matthews,
Here.
Nye,
Here.
Roloff, excuse, Sauer,
Yes.
Craig. Here.
Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. We have an agenda before us, which Tammy and I have decided it's not going to be an extremely long meeting.
So I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Markey will support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? There are none. Motion carries. We have minutes before us from November 25th.
Make a motion that we present the meeting minutes from November 25th.
Triple support.
Motion and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Do we have any public comment today? Hearing none, I'm going to close public comment. And that brings us to our first topic and only topic, which is a discussion and review of the strategic plan, goals, and 2025 achievements. So, did everybody get a copy of the 2025 list that was compiled?
Yes. And it's also in the packet.
Yep. Okay, so do we want to go through those? So they're on video in perpetuity, or
Call.
what's the will of the board?
Go through the accomplishments?
Huh.
I'd prefer we did.
Okay. All right.
Would you like me to do that?
I think, Katie, I think that would be,
All right. So I sent out to the Board of Commissioners a list of 2025 accomplishments. Obviously, this is not all encompassing, but this is what I slapped out on paper. So we'll go through them today. And then if there's anything else that maybe that sparked some of your memory to maybe add to the list, we can do that as well. Starting at the top, infrastructure and facilities. We did have various campus improvements over the year of 2025. We did put in $19,000 in investment into a phase 2 lighting project. So overall, we spent close to $40,000 on lighting for the entire campus to improve safety, and LED lights are supposed to improve, energy efficiency and those sorts of things. We worked through some kinks with the angles of the lights. And so I think we're through all that now from the folks who had said something in the community about the lights being a bit bright. But overall, I know specifically for the clerk's office, it was a huge improvement when they're here late at night for elections and things like that. We did replace the final heating and cooling unit on the government center. So as you know, about 3 years ago, we started the replacement of the various units on the building for heating and cooling. We did the final one, which was the largest one and the most expensive, of about $70,000. This improves also the efficiency of heating and cooling. But this also, now we're in a spot where we have 5 to 7 years before we need to start replacing more. So it's a lull in having to spend the money on those sorts of things. So good things there. We invested funds to update the fire monitoring system for this building. The fire system within this building, the monitoring system associated with it was not actually tied to dispatch, which is a safety issue. So now if we were to have an incident within this building, it's going to immediately notify dispatch so that we can have people dispatch here and we can evacuate people immediately. Or if there was a weekend, for instance, before, if there was a fire in this building, unless somebody drove by or looked out a window, there was no notification system. Now there's a notification system. So if this building were to catch fire on a Saturday, dispatch would be notified, and so we could respond a lot quicker.
Katie, before you go on, do we get any discount on our premium because we had that kind of notification?
No, it's pretty standard, of course, of like, we're expected to have it.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also secured grant funding in the amount of $10,000 to help the purchase of equipment for maintaining our campus. We were just talking about before the meeting, the improvements of the maintenance of the campus when it comes to snow removal. And that tractor, which is what we purchased with the $10,000, that's helped tremendously. We're able to blow snow, which was good because last year we were paying a third-party contractor to move snow, which cost quite a bit of money. We're able to clear the sidewalks more efficient and those sorts of things. So that was awesome to be able to get $10,000 from the tribe to help pay for that piece of equipment.
Should we pause after each one and just ask for input for everybody, from anybody, if we have additions to the certain sections?
Sure.
I did have one. I wondered if the repair and improvement of the elevator on campus,
That's a
which
good
put us
one.
in compliance with the state.
Let me pull up the actual Word document so I can make some of these things on the fly.
Rhonda, I'm glad you're taking this approach because this is a report out to the community.
Mhm.
And we want them to know how we're using their tax dollars.
Sure.
Mhm.
And because there were so many years of what I consider to be deferred maintenance here, and our effort has been to catch up and stay current. I'm glad you're taking this approach. Let's get everything on there that we can.
Plus, it kind of gives us a list what to prepare for in the future too, so, which has always been lacking here.
Did you want to include, didn't we do some work on creating the wood out in the hallway that got, discolored by,
Damaged by the
Water?
cleaning
Yeah.
service.
We didn't spend any money on that, and
like we improved it?
we could add it. How granular though do we want to get
Yeah.
in this list? I mean, that's pretty granular because it was the cost of like a $15 jar of the stain and
There's
Some-
time.
yeah,
Just regular maintenance, you should.
yeah.
Yeah, the elevator though was a pretty big.
That was big,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we want to demonstrate is that we're not deferring these activities,
Right.
the larger activities. Because, no, this is not a criticism of earlier boards, but we inherited some things that we probably shouldn't have.
hmm
I disagree with you. I would call it a criticism of other parts.
Let it be known Gary Sauer said that.
Okay. All right. So are we good to move on to the next section?
I don't have anything else. Anybody
Okay.
else? Okay.
Public safety and emergency services, the emergency operations plan, you officially adopted the amended operations plan to streamline the disaster response. Emergency communications and law enforcement, we authorize a memorandum of agreement with the Michigan State Police for computer aided dispatch, as well as them to have a detachment post within our sheriff's office, reestablishing that role. EMS mutual aid, we approved and amended advanced life support mutual aid and intercept agreements with Thompsonville for emergency medical service coverage. We invested in a radio encryption full upgrade for emergency radios for not only Benzie County, but also the city of Frankfurt and the other agencies that utilize the radios. That was a $165,000 investment. And what that did is upgrade the radios so that we can encrypt per the different compliance standards that we're held to. And as a protection for anybody's information that may come across those radios. And then we also secured a $53,000 grant to support road patrol services in Benzie County through the Secondary Road Patrol Program in Michigan.
Where does the tower
Yeah.
fall into this?
So that, yeah, sure. So we noted that on last year's that we,
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Good. Even though it
Um,
was finalized. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I had it on there, but then I took it off. So I guess it's up, you want it on there that it was like finally final and turned on?
I
Because
think
we had,
maybe if it was started with finalized, we were in the process of, but the project really was completed in 25, right?
Mhm.
Does anybody else have an issue? Does that seem appropriate?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I mean, it was on and functioning in 25.
Yeah,
And wasn't in 24, right? We were working
no,
on
it was February of this year.
Did did Rebecca complete that debris management plan as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And, what was another one too?
The parks ordinance though, but maybe that's down farther.
I was saying this is public safety and emergency services.
Yeah.
So
that's
debris,
down in public land.
mainline disaster
Got it.
response.
Well,
Yeah.
Tim's gathering his thoughts. You and I talked about this the other day. Our presentation this morning regarding this critical intervention team. That got implemented about 2.5 years ago.
Right.
I don't think that's ever been mentioned to the community.
We talked about it pretty heavily when we did it. You had signed an agreement with Community Mental Health to even fund the position itself. So that position is funded through Community Mental Health. And then obviously there was the grant related to the Ferris side of things. We talked pretty heavily about that in that first year when we really rolled that out because it took us a little time to get through the grant, to get the person on board and those sorts of things. And then that person went through training, about 6 months of training before they then even started researching the impacts of that position. I'm not sure what we'd put on here though is for a 2025 investment because there was 0 on behalf of Benzie County.
That's okay. Just,
This is investments or accomplishment?
Well, it's both.
yeah, both.
Yeah.
Good.
So I added the tower, I added the debris management plan. Anything else you think to the public safety emergency services?
Wasn't there also a hazard mitigation plan was also approved too in 2025? Or was that
Probably.
2024?
No, there was there was like a, yeah, hazard mitigation. Yes, I remember asking
Debris
questions on that.
management seemed like, but they were separate.
That
You'll be
only
doing
got
these- You'll be
triggered
doing
from
these in
the
the
ice storm,
OPCLCT
wasn't it?
meeting.
Hazard mitigation was adopted by the county though in 2024, so it's
Yes,
not
that's the-
It
applicable.
was just an update then?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that was like a couple year long project.
Yeah, so that was 2024 though.
Okay.
All right, moving on to community and environment. Waste management, we entered into a partnership with our neighboring counties to update the materials management plan for the region, ensuring efficient use of resources and aligned goals for materials management among our 3-county region. We awarded the 2025 contracts again for household hazardous waste and electronic waste collections. And again, much of those actual contracts actually come from a grant. So like the scrap tire grant place for that portion of it and those sorts of things. The zoning atlas map, we talked briefly this morning. You guys had a buzzword at the conservation district. But committed funding to the Benzie Area Conservation District to carry out a project to map zoning countywide with integration into the county's GIS database system, a $30,000 investment. Secured a $15,000 grant to educate the community regarding the dangers of marijuana and other drugs. And we partnered with Benzie Leelanau Health Department to create and advertise those educational materials. And we also allocated funding to support the Village of Beulah Stormwater Project, a commitment of $30,000, help to safeguard water quality for Benzie County, Okay. Anything else for community and environment?
We do the educational things at the schools on the. I don't remember what exactly we were going.
That was part
That
of,
part of it?
so, well,
opioid dollars.
yeah, so we did some through the marijuana grant, but then we also did it through the opioid dollars as well. And I touch on opioid funding allocation in the next section.
Like Parks and Rec.
We've done it the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Anything else for community and environmental? Otherwise, I'll move on.
We held I don't know, we held the FOIA thing with Matt. That community as far as,
Well, but that was just for
Educational.
you, right?
Okay.
Like it wasn't really a community event.
What about when we met with the tribe?
A joint
Is that
meeting.
appropriate? I don't know, but I mean, I think that's a community, maybe not. I don't know.
You have a section under here for economic development, right?
Yes,
If we're gonna put that anywhere, that's probably where I'd put it.
Economic,
Okay.
Reaching out. I look at them as a business and
sure. So I'll move on to administrative and fiscal governance. Strategic planning formally adopted the strategic priorities, goals, and actions in August of 2025 to guide county operations. Workforce management approved salary adjustments for key elected officials and department heads, including the county clerk, sheriff, and 911 director to maintain competitive compensation. Financial oversight successfully managed the 25-26 budget process, including setting public hearing and adopting the millage report. Grant management successfully managed numerous grants to carry out projects impacting the community, including a Betsy Valley Trail paving project, emergency communications tower placement, and 2% tribal allocation grants for county equipment. Opioid funding allocations allocated funding to community mental health to support treatment, $50,000. The Bay Area Youth to support school education and resources, $14,000. for the Benzie County Sheriff's Office to expand the medication assisted treatment program, $35,000, and the replacement of AED machines, $40,000. Successfully completed the audit of financials, established the tax limitation advisory committee to continue the discussion surrounding operational funding for this county and townships. Successfully bargained 6 collective bargaining units, securing 4-year contracts. Anything else?
Just a comment, you know, the, money that we gave to, Central for their, community mental health support treatment. They call that the opioid health home.
Okay.
That their health home projects have now been adopted by the region. All the CMHs within the region are using those. It's just information for you guys. So Central Wellness was like the incubator to start it. This is an idea, a concept. Now it's growing and probably will be implemented statewide.
Great.
I think they're renaming them substance use homes.
Well, yeah, but there was something behavioral health home and then substance use home or whatever. Yeah, we're correct.
Edie, did you do anything to further educate staff?
Yeah, we had a couple of trainings.
I don't know how you want to word it, but I would comment on the fact that continue to encourage and support education of staff.
Professional development of staff.
Better said.
I think many departments attended professional development.
Well, we know in
Training.
equalization they did.
Right. Yeah, and I know
Yeah.
Paula traveled for some and.
Yep. And we had 3 individuals go through the leadership academy that you'll recall last year. Brianne and Jackie went through the leadership academy through the National Association of Counties. We just had Kelly Long, Kim Long Miller, and Lisa Kenner go through it as well, and both passed those leadership academies through the National Association of Counties.
Yeah, that's
So, yeah.
huge. It's, supporting professional development.
Legal and contractual management, inmate medical services renewed the asset recovery and management services agreement with Correctional Recovery. This is a 24-month contract to ensure specialized management for inmate medical needs funded through the local jail fund. This also included the medication assisted treatment within that as well.
Can you say that
Um,
to include mat treatment within the jail or whatever, just so it's addressed?
Marks, anything else for legal and contractual?
I don't know if it fits here or not, Katie, but administration spends a fair amount of time modernizing some of our practices and policies.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that fit in here? Under administrative and
Probably under administrative and governance. would
does any,
think.
I know that I emphasize the importance of modernizing our practices. I don't know if that should be included in this or not. Because we use legal counsel to help us do some of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And last year we did take, and I don't know if this is under the umbrella of that, but we took steps to be more informed with our agreements with the MMRMA.
Mm-hmm.
Formalizing how the board should be updated.
In fact, I would kind of lump that in under professional development. Because professional development just isn't about the staff. It's about our own development. I'm okay to identify it. I'm just saying that I think it kind of fits there.
Sure. And maybe it doesn't need to be identified. Maybe it's something we should have been, but it was, I believe it was brought to our attention and we addressed it and we took action and we handled it. So I don't know if the rest of the board feels like it should be identified.
Review and modernize the relationship with the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Association.
I'm in favor of identifying it.
Public land and parks, parks and public land use developed and adopted a parks and public land use ordinance aiming to modernize the rules of the county's recreational spaces and protecting natural resources. Updated and adopted the Benzie County Parks and Recreational Cultural Plan, positioning Benzie County for future grant funding for parks and public lands. Betsy Valley Trail Paving authorized a contract with Elmer's Crane and Dozer for nearly $400,000 to pave the trail from Beulah Case Road, adopting a resolution, and also adopted a resolution to support a TAP grant on behalf of the Friends. And then Point Betsy Lighthouse Restoration approved an amended application to Eagle for the shoreline protection system, coordinated a revised design that fits within the environmental restrictions while protecting the historic lighthouse, and approved the project to move forward in a modified approach to meet funding restrictions, a project investment of almost $8 million.
Hmm.
Anything else for parks and public land? The only thing I didn't put on here was
Um,
Crystal Lake.
Right, the outlet project.
It was controversial, so that's why I didn't.
Well, I would tell you that I know that we heard from a limited number of people that were directly affected,
Mhm.
but when we talk about making parklands, and if you look at our strategic plan, it talks about accessibility.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what we did.
Mhm.
I know that some people were against it, but I gotta tell you what, if I took a countywide survey,
Yeah.
I bet we'd find more people saying, I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
So finalized and approved plans for a carry-in boat launch at Crystal Lake Outlet. Something along those
Yeah,
lines. I
do
mean, it's
agree.
not, I mean, the accomplishment, there's gonna be another accomplishment when it comes to when it's actually built, you know? But we did approve the plans and
To go forward.
to go
Yeah.
forward.
I do-
After a lengthy public, I mean, does that have to be acknowledged that there was, no?
So I agree that most of the county in favor of it, at least the people I've talked. Just the very few people, some of them very vocal, were against it.
And maybe it should say more than carry-in boat launch because there's a restroom being put in, parking's being changed. There is
I put
the,
finalize,
Of
finalize and approved
Crystal Lake
plans.
Outlet.
Finalize and approved plans to move forward with the Crystal Lake Outlet Park Enhancement Project.
perfect. You're a wordsmith.
Some days.
And this will fit right into the strategic plan.
Anything else before we move on to economic and community development? Okay, economic and community development, affordable housing advocacy, integrated community feedback regarding the urgent need of affordable housing into board discussions, coordinating with the Land Bank Authority to identify potential sites for residential development. I also talked about the Crystal Lake Outlet here. Crystal Lake Outlet Project initiated planning community briefings for the Crystal Lake Outlet Project, a significant water management effort intended to address local environmental and infrastructure concerns. A $600,000 project funded by grant dollars and community match. Economic Development Partnership committed funding for a 5-year period, $40,000 annually to support the establishment of an economic development office in partnership with the Benzie Area Chamber of Commerce. Anything else?
Is there anything that has to be said about continued expansion of broadband?
You could.
We have a ways to go, but we're making progress.
We ought to get Spectrum.
Well, we're meeting with them this month.
Yeah. We were told they weren't gonna want the blame for a while, so.
I think you're gonna find, we don't want to get off on that subject other than I'll say, I think Cherryland has taken over part of that region too,
Well,
under the Beads program.
Cherry Land or Cherry Capital,
I'm sorry, Cherry Capital.
that's who I was hoping was good. Didn't appear that way.
No, yeah, you guys got Spectrum and Amazon's new satellite internet that nobody knows anything about. Anything else for economic and community development?
Is the land bank doing anything to make properties available for housing,
The land bank doesn't have any inventory.
There's no
right now.
inventory right now.
but during 2025?
They did, I mean, they sold there was a home sale, the house that had mold in it. I mean, there was activity at the land bank, but it culminated in,
I was thinking they did something with Habitat out in Thompsonville, or is that the year before?
That was the year before.
Habitat was trying to buy some property in Thompson,
oh, they bought probably for,
didn't they?
Yeah, 'cause
4
they
or
were
5
working on them
houses.
because I remember when I was on the bus tour, remember?
Yep.
They were building those houses,
they
right?
got-
and that was 2 summers ago.
Yeah,
They
but
got
they
paper
looked into
returns.
something for
Yeah.
it.
sheet with dates on it.
Colfax.
And while she's looking at that, if we did we do any additional funding for childcare?
These. There was the home stretch housing out there in Thompsonville, and we supported the grant application for that.
Was some-
Was that-
something-
was that
Yeah.
Previous year though?
I know we supported the grant application this year, but there wasn't anything outside of a support for the grant application.
I think your first bullet item touches on some of that anyway.
It does, yeah.
We're waiting for MISTA money or something.
Yes.
possibility.
Yep, and there's some federal money they were after. I also put some connections together to increase out for housing exploration, but I didn't notate that there. I connected the land trust with Benzie Schools, looking at ideas of potentially utilizing some of the school property for housing. So,
You know, when I look under your economic development partnership,
yeah,
you might want to include a sentence at the end there that we have now invested in a full-time professional to guide economic development. That actually happened in December. And then they started January 4th or 3rd or something like that.
well, I note that we invested 40,000 a year for a development office, including an executive director, I could say.
Okay. I just want the public to know that, you know, resources are being committed to it beyond just money.
My sheet must be at home. If you want to text Kelly for the land bank land use inventory, that'll have the dates of everything on it. I believe that a couple of the houses occurred in 2025.
Well, in the first section, I specifically say coordinating with Land Bank Authority to identify potential sites for residential development.
And that happened.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Anything else? Otherwise, that's your list. I'll re-email this out because we just added those couple to it. But this would be nice to have in your pocket when you go to your townships and villages.
Can you send that out in Word
Yeah, I can send it.
so I can cut and paste? Make it look like I did it?
I knew you were gonna do that.
Sign
Or
your name
you
on the
can
bottom.
cut and paste from.
That's why I
Yeah.
sent it to the whole group, so you didn't put your name on it.
Come to my house, teach me, would you?
Too cheap for the software.
That's kind of it.
Just your browser.
Because I tried to manipulate it when you said it and I thought, doggone, she's locked me out.
I did that on purpose.
I figured.
Did you want to touch on the administration goals considered for 2026? Or shall we?
Well, I kind of figured that would be part of the strategic plan discussion. I assumed that today you'd want to hear kind of what the ideas we're looking at as far as administration. But I assumed that you guys would also have additional items to add or just items you want to identify as a county. So that's why it's in there. So it could kind of be all encompassing of one conversation.
Okay, let's circle back for our discussion to the strategic plan and then we'll finish with goals. The idea of addressing the strategic plan today was that we said the last time we touched on it in August was that we were going to relook at this quarterly. It is supposed to be our guidepost. We're supposed to look to the strategic plan, which is supposed to fold nicely into the master plan and be our map for things that are important to us involving the county. So, Len, is this the first time you've looked at the strategic plan? Is this okay, okay. What did you think? Wow,
Put you on the spot.
Yeah.
That's all right.
new guy on the
No, I-
spot.
I really want to hear the first line of discussion about it, because there's a couple of things I thought, dude, we didn't add this, or maybe this is something we're doing in a county level. There are a lot of things in a federal strategic plan that just blows you away, and the minutia, the granularity. This is a nice broad overview, I think, with some key, I guess my only thing on here would be measurables. It was the only thing looking through this. How do we know when we've accomplished some of these things, or how do we know when we're getting close? Or
Because we told you.
okay, right. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
when doing these plans, how do you know if XYZ project is done? Well, how do we know the building process for the road commission is done? Well, when they have to cut the ribbon and you walk in, or what are the actual things step by step through our processes that we know we're getting there, or we kind of peeled off or whatever to keep us back in line as an organization,
You're approaching this as a project manager
probably.
and you're looking for that matrix
Pretty much.
But and I'm not saying you shouldn't have that, but that was one of the reasons of discussing the accomplishments. Because if you think about that and then go back to the strategic priorities, see how they tie in,
Right.
at least that's my opinion.
Sure.
And I don't need to tell you, because I'm sure you've participated in many of these. You don't have all these, in the plan, you don't have the task.
Right.
You just have the 10,000-foot view.
Right. And like you said earlier, some of these things that we were talking about as accomplishments did fold nicely back into the strategic plan. And I get that. I guess I'm just. We always had the strategic plan. We had our goals and objectives in a different box that did feed us right underneath the strategic plan. I guess that's the kind of piece I was kind of missing, is that we have all this broadly out there. Yes, but there aren't any ways to really show it that way. I guess that's my only concern.
So
Is there
you're,
another document that shows
well, you're,
next level down? Yeah,
Operating plan.
Well,
Yes.
in here are the action steps to get to these goals.
Right.
So you're wanting another drill down further than that?
well, I just want to know how we know we've gotten there, or how we incrementally are working towards that particular goal.
Mhm.
So,
So, I mean, the document we just went through should be part of that, right? I mean, that document should align, and obviously there's always gonna be one-offs. But that document should be aligning to this, showing that we're meeting these items. And so if we were to go through this, there may be items in here that maybe we could take off or tweak because we just went through that 2025 document that says we've done X, Y, and Z. Well, maybe Y was part of this, and do we remove it? Do you leave it on there? Do you put a done by it? I mean, that's your call.
until you do the next plan, it stays in there.
Right.
that's why I need to just to hear us go through it one time. Then I can say, okay, that what I was thinking about doesn't matter, or that wasn't really part of it, or maybe we could add something. I really do need to see that drill down.
Well, if I could say this, I think you're probably looking at it like maybe Tim and I would from a corporate perspective, and you have a project manager that's following these things through. Well, we really don't have that.
Okay.
In fact, I'm glad we've got a strategic plan.
Okay.
So as we look at the beginning of the document, it addresses high level themes. Do we all agree that those are what we want them to be? And are we okay to move to the next section, or do these need to be edited at all?
Well, they're pretty broad, so I
Yeah.
mean,
I certainly am okay with them as they're
Yep.
stated.
We all have to work on our optimism a little bit.
Glass is half full.
That's right.
Not half
I'm
empty.
very optimistic we're gonna fail. How's that for optimism?
Oh, boy,
Come on now.
here we go with the fire.
Being sarcastic, wasn't being serious.
Mhm.
Okay, we have our strategic priorities. If everybody was good with the last section, we have 5 of those. Do those align with your headings on our accomplishments for 2025? Because they look similar.
Pretty close, but not exact.
Okay.
You'll notice like enhanced county services, to me, that's kind of a governance thing, right? Your
Okay.
administration and governance. And then fiscal health and responsibility, that could fall under, the enhanced administration and that sort of thing. But then it also falls under parks and public land use and public safety investments, because that's fiscal health and responsibility. So yes and no.
Okay.
Enhanced county services could also include public safety issues.
Exactly.
That was my-
So they're all intertwinable.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll make this easy.
My job to make your life easy.
Okay, our infrastructure.
At home, can you make it that easier?
Oh, no.
Our infrastructure and space needs, ensure proper infrastructure maintenance and development and adequate space for the performance of county services and local municipal infrastructure needs and services, including cybersecurity infrastructure. Do we want to go through the actions of what the goal is one by one? Or what is our best approach here? Who's done this? Lots of times, Katie.
Sure. Infrastructure and space needs. So when you're thinking about the accomplishments that you had in 2025, those are playing heavily into this when we talk about the infrastructure, right? There's a lot of deferred maintenance. We're taking care of those things. So some of the actions though within this section is we kind of heavily focused on services. So non-mandated versus mandated services. And I think what really drove that being part of this section when we put this together a couple of years ago is all these unknowns about the Headley general operating millage. And so I'm guessing that's what drove our thought process there, right? Because we were trying to clearly establish what's mandated and non-mandated so that when we're educating the community about the need for a Headley override of some sort, we can talk about those services and what could, be cut or what could be expanded if there was any additional funding coming to the county. Here, we're also talking about empowering the ad hoc committees and subcommittees. We're utilizing them a lot more. You're working to empower the different subcommittees. Art, you've said numerous times about you put people on these boards and you want their opinions and their decisions to have value and meaning. And I think you're doing a really good job of, really meeting that coming forward. We haven't really talked at all about selling or contracting existing infrastructure at all. That's really been a dead issue. But bolstering technology for infrastructure, we've put a lot of effort, time, and money into cybersecurity and technology in Benzie County. We have Michael now as an IT support specialist for the county. We have a long-term contract with Carhuse Cyber, and we've invested in upgraded equipment to protect Benzie County and the information that we store for the community. And so I think, going through those things, we've hit the mark or we're close to hitting the marks, or there's still things that we're still thinking about and they're still at the forefront when we think about this overall topic for Benzie County.
Well, from the 10,000-foot view, I think we've made great strides in technology. Quite frankly, it started with just cleaning up that room where all the wires were at.
Yep.
And that was I know that's been a while, but that was a big task just in itself.
Yep.
But by completing that, it allowed us to be more efficient going forward.
Yeah.
But with that task completed, do we have things in place now to upgrade the wiring in this building, or we get a new server or router or whatever that requires different wiring, that whatever contract to do that will remove the old stuff?
Oh yeah, that's part of the process now. When Michael's very good about the organization and what's supposed to be there, not supposed to be there. And Sophia and him together, like that stuff is pretty down there. I don't know what pretty's supposed to be from a technology standpoint, but if you went down there, Tim, I think you'd be impressed.
I haven't looked at it since Frank Post was here.
Okay,
Mhm.
well, Michael has done a tremendous job to really clean up that space and to really have just a framework of, what is what and when and how and why and those sorts of things.
The last time I was down there, Tim, previously they hadn't even labeled any of those wires, so they didn't really know where they went through unless they started pulling them. Last time I was there, it's been a while. I think that's all labeled now.
Yeah, it's better down there, and they got rid of there was a bunch of just dead wires,
Right.
Extra wires that went to nowhere. There was equipment down there that was just dead equipment that had just gotten left, and so they've cleaned up that space a lot and put it in a fashionable order so you actually know what you're plugging into and unplugging.
We may have started that as far back as 2018. Did you say, Gary?
Remember when it used to look,
That's about when I saw it,
Okay,
or 16
Okay.
maybe.
yeah. That was a cluster.
So under resources required, when it says removing barriers to allow for robust discussions, what were we identifying there? Does anybody remember?
You mostly.
Probably.
Yeah. So I think this refers back to the mandated and non-mandated services, as well as empowering the different committees to have the conversations. And so to me, I envision the barriers were, refusing to create the committee or refusing to bestow the discussion onto a subcommittee. That was a barrier because the subcommittee couldn't have the discussion because the board wouldn't, deem that appropriate. Or you think about when we're talking about the services versus non-mandated services, creating a space where everybody's ideas can be heard. And there's not this oh, you just want to get rid of my department kind of discussion. It's a hypothetical, what are we talking about and why? And what does this mean for the long term? It's just, I hate to use the term safe space because it's a buzzword these days, but essentially creating those safe spaces to have those discussions without the fear of retaliation.
Sure. I get it now.
Yeah, I can tell you for me, what I was thinking is that don't be concerned about giving me your wish list.
Right.
You know, you're not gonna get criticized for that. Because sometimes staff, I think, would come in and feel like, well, I can't ask for too much.
Right.
Well, tell me what you need to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of it as, you know, putting options on the table that perhaps not everybody will like, but you have to have touched on it and said, look, we considered it. It ended up being a bad idea, but at least we thought about it and move on.
Yep.
And I think there's sometimes caution about going those places.
Yep.
Do we want to move on to fiscal health and responsibility? Are we good to leave that? Section? Okay, we have an obligation to maintain Benzie County's fiscal condition and financial statements in a healthy state. Benzie County will maintain a balanced budget while supporting professional development and expanding resources for elected officials and staff. And then we have actions below that. I think our budgeting process is night and day from what it was when I started as a commissioner. Hats off to all the departments that make that possible and put in the time to do that. What do we remove on the second bullet point? What used to be there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's just a space
Talk-
error.
Something could have been removed because we finished it.
That
Okay.
could be.
I feel, it might not be that one specifically, but I remember removing a bullet.
And what about the third bullet? Develop a budget timeline with specific guidelines on when and how. Do you feel like that's been accomplished?
Oh, that's number 2. Develop a budget timeline with specific guidelines on when and how. I mean, we do the budget timeline the same every year. I don't know. Every year when we initiate budgeting, our office sends out a lengthy memo, which establishes the timeline for budgeting. And so that goes out before every budgeting, and we typically always start budgeting right after spring break in April. We'll send those things out. I could share a copy with that memo with all of you if you'd like to see it. It's a pretty long memo and it outlines kind of what we're looking at as far as a timeline and when the draft budget is going to be presented to the Board of Commissioners and so forth. It also includes a spreadsheet, which has everyone's name and what funds they're responsible for. And then it also indicates that our office will schedule one-on-one meetings with all the different departments, which then Carissa would take care of. So we are doing that, I guess. It's not a policy, but it's the same memo every year.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Have we done the create a quarterly financial update routine? Are we in a rhythm for doing that quarterly? Does everybody feel like we're seeing the financials and comparing them to previous years quarterly? Previous 3 years?
I think we've fallen off rhythm with the holidays, so it's due.
Sure.
But we just started the fiscal year, so really this would be the timing of the first quarter of the fiscal year.
It has been a little bit hit and miss. You and I have had this conversation and
Mhm.
we should be looking at it every quarter. That's one of the most important things we do.
Yeah, so we went over it. We went over the final quarter of the last fiscal year in September. And then to me, January is now the first quarter of this fiscal year. So we did go over the last budget in September before it was done. We talked about where it was at and where things kind of fell. That was part of a study session. Then we were recommending adoption of the budget as well. And so now that we're kind of, we've ended now this first quarter of the budget, since it's October, November, December. Next meeting, we could have that in your packet for review.
Yep, that would keep us on schedule. Okay. Anything to add to resources required? Does that look good?
I do have something, because this triggered me, this BSNA accounting software. Because one thing that we talked about when they were talking about the BSA online is the reports that they do. And they talked about how we could do some better reports. But we didn't know that we could do these better reports. Where are we on that? So remember
So
we were talking kind
we
of,
haven't moved to
Thank you.
online yet? correct?
No, we're moving online. Actually, Kelly this morning at 10 a.m. had a meeting with BSNA to talk about some timing for the year. Last meeting I was in with BSNA, our anticipated go live for online was August of this year.
Correct,
Yeah.
but I think he said we had that capability now even.
I feel like there was one report that we had wanted at the time and there was a way to get to it right now. Yes. I've not since pulled that report or
Okay.
anything. So.
So BSNA online, because I use it township. Yeah, you can do your own customized reports. I mean, I can do that as a fire chief. I can just go in and query whatever I want.
But I suspect they also have a library of reports that are already designed.
Actually,
Help us
page-
out,
Right.
yes.
Is there
Yeah,
something
'cause I think we-
specifically that anybody remembers wanting to see?
Well,
So we have clear direction?
Well, because because the kind of the reports we have now are kind of kludgy because, you know, you have to kind of skip all over all the expenditures or you can't see where, you know, like, I don't know, EMS, you know, these are the expenditures and then this is where we are. You have to flip several pages to get to the expenditure. So do you know what I mean? You couldn't see them together.
So you're referring to, I think, the general fund more than anything.
Okay.
And you know how when we give you the general fund, it has all the general fund revenues and then all the expenditures. And I think what you guys were wanting to see is a more aligned, you know, it'd be like commissioner revenue expenditures, admin revenue expenditures, clerk revenue expenditures.
Oh, I see.
I think that's what we were after, because right now how I draw the report is all the revenue for general fund, then all the expenditures for general fund. And I think what you were wanting to see is to align the departments a little better, to show kind of which department is supporting itself versus not, and which departments were the drivers of revenue for the general fund, which it's the treasurer's office, period, because they collect the taxes. But I think that was what we were after.
I think for me, the percentage is percentage use. I mean, if you're looking in the first quarter, 25%, if you're under that, you're tracking
Yeah.
just fine. And so the percentages help me, that column.
See,
in
I
there.
always add that myself.
Yeah.
But I'm with Rhonda too. I really don't even look at the dollar amounts. I just say percentage used.
Hmm.
And then if it's grossly out of line, that's when I ask the question. And as it's been explained to me, sometimes you spend or collect the whole thing at one interval of the year. But after you've been here long enough, you know that, so.
Right. It's like we have annual membership dues. And those are typically collected at the beginning of the fiscal year. So you'll see some of those that are at 100% right away. Well, that's because it's a line specific for a due that we've already paid. So.
Okay, let's move on to, are everybody ready to move on? Okay, enhanced county services. We will evaluate current services and consider other services to be provided to the community, including partnering with private agencies to provide services. I think we're doing a great job at this. We're looking at a lot of collaboration, a lot of regionalization, a lot of things are long-term, as we discussed this morning,
Mhm.
but do we want to go through actions by actions? How do we want to tackle this one?
Well, just a high level of the actions. I mean, I think staff as a whole are hitting almost every single one of them.
Right.
I think there are things we haven't challenged ourselves enough on in terms of collaboration and regionalization, but we'll save that for a different
I
discussion.
think we're heading in that direction though. Bert. I mean, the animal shelters being one of them, and then waste management,
Materials management.
materials management, yeah.
That's in here.
Well, then I'll say this, knowing that I'm gonna get criticized to people listening in. But I still question central dispatch. I don't know why that isn't regionalized. And I've heard the argument against it. And quite frankly, I don't know if there's any efficiencies even to be gained. But that's the first thing that comes to my mind. And I'm not pushing for it here today. Okay. And Katie, you can field all those calls now that you're gonna get.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, the same long lines, you could outsource law enforcement then too.
Well,
You just can't outsource the sheriff and undersheriff.
okay,
I'm being sarcastic, Art.
yeah.
I do see facilitating community awareness and involvement. I think Gary touched on wanting to see more classes for the community, more informational stuff through Michigan State, that kind of thing. I think this is the year we should really be active with that.
Yeah.
Be a good opportunity, especially with the Headley topic, and we could tackle a couple other things, but
I do know I've been
I think we
asked
could check that box.
by, both the village and the township that I represent. They would be interested in having an open meetings, class, kind of like what we had.
And we have provided that, by the way. In the 9 years that I've been here, we had both FOIA and OMA training in this room. You remember
Yeah, I
that?
do.
Yeah.
I attended a blight informational session here.
I just know that both those boards are relatively new. I mean, they're both under 4 years old, both boards.
Honestly, it's something we could do every other year, you know, it's.
I just throwing it out there because they always look at me what they should be doing. I'm like, not always, but a lot of times I do help try to.
Where are
help
they
out
having
guys.
so much trouble?
I would point them to MSU Extension. They're actually rolling out this year a new six or seven part series that is specific to local government management. And there's like a fiscal health and, budgeting section, and there's going to be, a meetings section and that. And so Eric Walcott is heading that up. He designed the program around feedback that he obtained from the county administrators and the city managers and so forth. And so it is a 6 or 7 part series that they can sign up for now that's going to go out throughout 2026, sponsored by MSU Extension.
Okay,
So I would point them to that.
I will.
I would also want to highlight that I believe that you and Kelly especially meet with your clerks and treasurers in the community,
Mhm.
and that's huge. They really appreciate that. And I do remember that Paula did a seminar with State Savings Bank. That might need to be on our
Oh,
accomplishment
Kelly
thing.
did that.
Kelly did that?
Yeah.
That wasn't Paula? Because I thought Paula was there too to talk about registering your property for fraud.
She was there, yeah, but
Yeah.
Kelly put that together.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a huge community.
When I think
information.
Rebecca did, Rebecca and Sarah, you guys.
Oh,
did,
yeah, yeah, I
the fraud
attended that.
awareness thing. Yes,
Yeah.
fraud awareness class.
I came to that.
The what awareness?
Fraud.
Oh, fraud.
And that was also, I learned how to use Narcan, that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So continue to do things like that. I
Yes.
think we want to check some more of those boxes this year.
Yep.
Anything else we want to cover under this section? If not, we'll move to public spaces and public land, provide safe and accessible public space where people may recreate, socialize, or enjoy being alone in nature.
So if you look under actions, we can easily tick off a few of those because we've done those because they were pretty point blank items to do. So again, I think you're really working on these things as a county.
Updated the Parks and Rec master plan
And you did an ordinance
and an ordinance.
and you've invested in facilities and parklands.
And I really appreciate that the Parks and Rec is using the rest of their budget to create actual books.
Yep.
I mean, as much as that's online, to take them to different places and set them out, I think people are gonna appreciate that. I know I have an old copy at home and I enjoy flipping through it.
Leslie has the copies if
You-
everyone wants to stop by after the meeting and pick one up.
Yeah.
Maybe. Only 9.
Oh,
Just about cover Parks and Rec.
We can print more though if we have to. They just won't be bound really pretty in a book.
so we each get one? No,
Oh. Never. Yeah.
who wants one?
Yeah, who wants one? Only Rhonda and Christie.
Yes, we can tick that off, implement a parks and public land use ordinance, did that. So are these removed then because they're done, or do we keep them on there for reference?
Until we do an official update of the plan, they stay.
Okay. And when is that due?
Well, we just officially updated it in August of 25. So, originally we were biannually looking to update the plan itself. But if this board wants to try to update it annually, that's pretty quick because we're not really taking things off.
I mean, I think that's why we're looking at it quarterly, so we can
Mhm.
update it every 2 years. Is everybody comfortable with that? Updating it every year seems like a lot.
I am, but I can tell you it's not unusual to do it every 5 years.
Right, I'm used to 5.
Yeah.
Biannual was a lot for me to begin with,
But
and
when you do it, I mean, it's a big program.
Mhm.
It's not just a study session. It's,
Yeah, you'll recall when we did this one, we had a series of study sessions and I made you guys like write on paper and stuff, and it was a whole thing.
we had someone from Networks Northwest that
Yeah.
facilitated and,
Oh, that was the master plan.
oh, okay.
Yeah, the strategic plan, I made you do that.
I just know that from my own experience, it's not uncommon to do it every 5 years.
Yeah, it was quite a few
But
meetings.
you look at it with regularity to make sure you're on track.
Okay. And that's what we're doing right now. So does anything need to be, we're not adding or anything, we're just reviewing, right?
Essentially.
Essentially,
And holding people accountable for
right?
moving it forward. So far, I haven't seen anything that said we're ignoring it.
I agree. So let's move on to economic and community development activities. Get my little arrow down here. Okay, in global economy where people can work from anywhere, people are choosing to live here because of the natural characteristics of our region, period. Needed. We will focus on creating a healthy community and strong sense of place, and will integrate our economic development efforts with our action steps. We will strive to focus on smart growth development opportunities, resiliency to changing demands, and support a sense of place, encouraging our youth to remain in or return to Benzie County. Mouthful. Place. Yeah, unfortunately, some of this without a planning, a county planning commission falls on the individual townships and villages to be responsible for their growth and planning for it.
Well, but we're making strides in that because think about the zoning atlas that you're
Yes.
working on. That's going to foster that
Yes.
at the township level. So that's one thing that you're doing towards this. We're also, tax increment financing. We made some pretty big movement when we did the payment in lieu of tax ordinance here at the county level, and we supported that, and we supported the TIF relationship regarding the Shell station in Honor, and so you're hitting those just in a more creative way, I could say.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
no, I do think the zone tool is kind of the glue to say, look,
Mhm.
we are participating as a county to at least guide you
Mm-hmm.
to make good decisions and to tell you what exists out there.
Yep, and then
So-
supporting and partnering to expand utilities, including natural gas and broadband. I mean, Gary talked about today, the natural gas and how he's kept his thumb on that pulse, and broadband is still happening here in Benzie County. So I think you're doing this. You're definitely doing this. It's just not as apples to compare. You have to think creatively of like, we're approaching it a little differently than how the paper says.
Edie, that makes me think in terms of accomplishments, and I'm not sure if it's worth noting or not, but the county adopted a pilot program countywide.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I realize there's more work to be done on it,
Mm-hmm.
but we were the second community in Northwest Michigan to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've not asked, nobody's come to us to take advantage of it yet. But that's one of the tools we'll use for economic development.
We actually did that in 2024.
Has it been that long?
2 years. It was January of 24 when we put it in place.
Okay.
Katie, under actions, the fourth bullet down, the at the end of the sentence needs to be removed.
Or where?
In the section. Pardon?
It just.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
Yeah, right there.
Got it. I'll update the PDF online too with the period and
Well, we couldn't have hit this more head on when it says, what that fourth bullet says.
Mhm.
We'll partner with a local agency.
Ah,
Sometimes it's just dumb luck, isn't it?
No, no, it means that you're following your strategic plan, which is exactly what you should be doing.
Stop block. Correct twice a day.
Well, what this is doing is it's demonstrating to the community that having thoughtful conversation about where you want Benzie County to go, and then you're sticking to that.
Yep.
And that's huge to the community, I believe. I mean, they should be able to look at this board and say, they put together this plan, It's a good plan that they want Benzie County to succeed and they're sticking to it. And that says a lot about the board.
And I'm a big fan of strategic partnerships. The county, based on our size and our resources, both financial and human, we're limited to what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
So partnering is almost in any aspect, even of new services, all of that, there's an advantage. And there's groups out there, because to say this under economic development, it has impressed me the number of calls I've gotten from people in the community, never heard of them before. And they're saying, boy, I'm glad you're doing something with economic development.
Hmm.
And there's a group that's actually come together that's going to help finance part of this initiative. And and he'll probably be coming on the county's EDC board. And this is like out of the woodwork. And the reason why it happened is because we took this route. A lot of people believe the way I do. Public-private partnerships.
That's the whole document.
Yep, very good. Okay, we went through it. Any takeaways before we move back to administration's goals? And then we'll tie in, have a discussion about board goals and call it a day. So if there's nothing else on this document, let's go back up to the end of Katie's. What page was that on?
Last page.
Is it the last page, the goals? Oh. Yeah.
So these are just some quick things that we put
Oh.
down, Leslie and I, on paper to help, start the conversation. And so you can kind of see what we're envisioning for 2026 as a, larger high level items. So host numerous public and internal workshops and attend local community meetings to educate constituents and staff on Headley and the general operating millage. We've talked about this numerous times about this is kind of the big ticket for 2026. We want to expand professional development opportunities in-house for leadership, technology, and career growth aimed at improving departmental efficiencies. We want to gear up and do some more trainings and or sponsor items for people. Provide single topic educational opportunities for the Board of Commissioners. You had noted that you wanted some more educational opportunities, one being fun with finance, as we talked about. And so one of the things we're going to focus on this year.
Can't wait for that.
I know you can't.
Well, Katie, I'd add to that also, for those people that attend conferences and they use the breakout sessions,
Mhm.
that's yet another form of education.
Yeah, we want to encourage more education for sure. I'd like to launch a social media presence for Benzie County. I get asked all the time, can I follow you on Facebook or what have you? We have a very small presence on LinkedIn where primarily we just post job postings on LinkedIn. But I'd like to do some sort of social media presence because it is asked of us quite often. And it's a love it or hate it. People get their news from Facebook these days. It's just kind of the weird world we live in.
Do you
And
have
so
the
I'd like to
resources to maintain that?
Sorry,
That could be time consuming.
it could be, right? It's something to talk about and it's a goal. So we'll work through that before any triggers pulled.
Before you leave that, I don't want to build the building today, but, we talked about partnerships. There's this, I'm not on social media, but I understand there's a Overheard in Benzie page.
Oh, there's like 6 of them.
Oh, is there? I mean, so sometimes when you're,
3, 4, and 7.
when you're trying to get a message out, you could use existing avenues. You don't have to own your own. Because to Tim's point, I mean, that's pretty time consuming.
You should get on social media and set
Control
up.
your destiny kind of thing.
But yeah,
You can learn.
But like I said, I'm not on social media
I'm not
for a
either.
reason.
You should get on the Book of Face.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have no interest.
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of community pages out there. Our animal shelter has a page as well. Dispatch has a page. Rebecca has a page. The sheriff's office has a page. So there are tons of pages out there. The trouble with some of the community pages is we can't necessarily control the message or even put the message out there in a timely manner because there's administrators to approve those messages. And so it could help us or hinder us or maybe do nothing. I would like to be able to, us to be the first hit of information being put out into the community versus it being heard on a page where sometimes it gets a little hectic on those pages and it's not a great environment always on those pages. And I don't want to be part of that.
Well, my wife is on social media, so I understand a little bit. And I've just demonstrated why I shouldn't be part of that conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to go out and get like a page on X or something like that, or no?
I,
Not something,
I don't even know anybody who uses that other than like 3 people around. So I mean, Facebook is the big one. Unless you want to hire a photographer, Instagram's not really where it's at.
right?
I mean, you could go on all day by the number of social media platforms that are out there. The big one right now is Facebook.
Sure.
I mean, it just is
Is Facebook
Facebook. Yeah.
Every day.
still,
The Book of Face. Yes.
wait, what is it?
I call it the Book of Face.
Oh,
It's Facebook.
okay.
The black hole of information.
Get lost in it. Is that what you're saying?
Anyways, we'd like to explore and potentially put out a social media presence. Next, improving the capital improvement planning process. We went through this just recently on the list. Review policies and procedures to ensure they're relevant and up to date. It's time to do that. And so we're working through those, and Leslie's got a pretty good list of items to bring forward to you in the near future. We're continuously working on digitization of the county in general. This year, we're really taking a focus on the building department and equalizations department to digitize their spaces. At this point, outside of the courts, they may have the most paper left in this building. Prosecutors digital, we're digital. I know the sheriff's office is pretty well digital. Animal control is digital. So we're working through that process right now. Continued technological advances of the county moving towards digital efficiencies, including improving the payroll, remittance, and accounts payable processes. We've talked about this over the last couple of months about just really identifying some ways to just make that process better. And then launch a county educational campaign on social media, if we get it, and on the county's website to better explain the specific responsibilities of the county to the residents. And this kind of ties into the strategic plan when we're talking about mandated and non-mandated services and educating the community as to what the county can actually do. And this is just trying to better explain that. I'm seeing more and more counties and cities do different programs like school programs, right? You can adopt commissioners, or you can go through, a Citizen 101 series that the city or county sponsors. And so just trying to get more and more people in here to really understand what is county government. I mean, most people think about county government and they don't know what we are capable of doing. And so trying to get that excitement around local government and, make people understand that local government's really where it all happens. And so you have to be in tuned into your local government, and you have to, want to be part of your local government to actually get things done in your community, because it doesn't matter what happens in DC. It's not going to trickle down to your community probably for 6 years. And so if you want to make real change for your community, you have to be involved in local government. So trying to create some sort of excitement about people who want to be part of local government. We can't find people for boards. Let's build some excitement around that. These kids, they don't go out of high school thinking, I'm going to go into public administration and political science, but we want them to. And so we're trying to just create this excitement about, own your community.
Well, I don't believe the sheriff has talked about it here, but haven't they began a program where they're taking youth and letting them?
I won't steal their
shadow?
thunder specifically. I'll let the sheriff talk about it next time he speaks. But they're looking to host a junior police academy next summer to get local kids excited about going into law enforcement. And that's just another step in getting people excited about serving their community. And so things like that are super important. And so we want to have that as one of our goals as well, is what other ways can we get people here in the county excited about wanting to support their community from a local government standpoint.
What you've just described really, in my opinion, should be a one-day event for seniors in high school and be discussing public service, whether it be on a volunteer basis or as a career.
Yeah.
Because I could add EMS in there. I could add fire support. You guys are having a lot of trouble probably attracting volunteer fire people.
Yep.
And I know there's a lot of things that contribute to that, but we don't talk about that as a rule at home.
Right.
About public service. And that is becoming less and less important, but getting more active oversight, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
So people aren't volunteering to do things, but if if they don't like what you're doing, they're going to let you know.
Right. Well, and we're really starting from the ground up on this. Central Dispatch has done more activities with kids. We've had events at the schools where Benzie EMS and the local fire agencies and the sheriff's office are coming. Part of it is just about attending these events and being present in the community at events that are non-threatening and their community policing style events. And really, it's about starting younger and not hitting them in high school. Because by the time you've gotten to high school, you know, I don't want to say they have their minds made up, but we need to hit it when these kids are younger so that it becomes more of a normal thought process when they're exploring careers in 7th grade. And so we're working to do that, and we're doing more of these events with these kids to get these kids thinking about, you know, oh, well, what is 911? I know I call 911 when there's an emergency, but what does it take to do that job? And is that a cool job to do? You know, and it starts with 911. You don't just get the sheriff's office at your house. You have to call 911 first. And so getting these kids to understand the full depth of the process and get them excited about how they can impact their community starting at a young age. So that's exciting. And you got to move them up through this process and keep it exciting as they go into these high school careers. Otherwise, it's going to be, you know, a bachelor's in anthropology. I don't know. We gotta hit these kids when it's younger and make it exciting so that it is at top of mind when they're thinking about their careers. Because hitting them at 17 and 18, unless you get a lot of bells and whistles, they're going for what makes the most money and they're not thinking about the impact they can make on their communities.
When I talk about, go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say, don't our Rotary organizations host kind of a career expo at the high schools a certain time of the year? Are we invited to those?
The past couple of years, they've reached out to the sheriff and only the sheriff has been there. And so I've reached out to them to make sure they're letting us know so that we can send other departments as well.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Sorry, Art, go ahead.
No, that's fine. When I think of seniors in high school, I guess my thought is they're just getting ready to be old enough to vote.
Yeah.
And how do we even engage them in that process? I think it's a sad statement to say 25% of US citizens are registered to vote. 25%. And then you've got 25% of that group that's actually making the decisions for everybody.
Mhm.
We got to find a way to get them more engaged. And at the county level, and I'd be interested in feedback on this, but unlike Lansing and DC, we're not making policy. You know, we're managing a community, managing services of that community. There's nothing political about sitting on this commission, in my view.
And that's why I think we have to start younger. We're hitting those kids too far down the line. And we need to start younger and making it part of the conversation when they're younger, when they're developing their minds into what they want to do with their lives. We need to start younger and get it in these kids' minds about what we actually do, what it means to their, you know, their future, how they can impact their communities. And then that drives the kids to stay here in Benzie because they're seeing the whole process and how they can make an impact in their community versus running off and making an impact in another community. I think hitting these kids their senior year, you think about dual enrollment. I just saw on the sign the other day, you can dual enroll early college, middle school. Well, if they're enrolling in college courses in 8th grade, we've already lost them on a career path because they're already on their way to a career. And so we got to hit these kids younger so it's top of mind when they're entering into these, you know, realms of entering into early school for college and things.
Go ahead, Christy.
I will say, I do know that there is a civics class in Benzie Central where the teacher tells the kids to go out and volunteer. I've had kids in the last 2 years come to the library to volunteer at the library. They need 9 hours of community service in some sort of governmental something or other as part of that. And I think that's great. Because like I said, I've had kids come the last 2 years to be part of the library. So even just capitalizing on some of that, letting them know they can, this is an option. Coming
Good
here is
idea.
an option.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of occasions at my township meetings where these young people were showing up to satisfy that requirement.
Yes. Yes.
I get them at my fire department every so often. But the problem I have is I can't take them with me on a live call.
Correct.
So I have to work training and or helping me wash the trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All gotta be done.
Mhm.
So as we move away from administration's goals, which I think are really good, very well thought out.
Brenda, could I stop you just a moment?
Sure.
And I'm sorry that Katie left, but if, for those of you that don't get the local paper, this last edition, they talked about the goals. Like they talked about the operating millage. Did you see this already? They talked about animal control, emergency and medical services, 911, and then some miscellaneous.
What was the source?
Well, Katie was interviewed for part of it. Now that she's back, I'll ask her to speak to it. Katie, I'm talking about the article that appeared in the last edition of our Record Patriot, and it was talking about some of the activities for this coming year.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure that these were really touched in your bullet points. Can we pass this around to her and that made you stretch? Just kind of as a reminder.
So if I remember correctly in there, just noting, Colin and I talked about this a long
It's on
time
the
ago.
front page and the back page,
Uh,
second to last.
Yeah, so in here, one of the big things that we talked about obviously was the operating millage Headley reset. And that was one of the things that's also on our list from a department. In here, we also talked about specifically the regionalization of animal control as well, if I remember correctly. That was another thing that was in there. We talked about EMS 911 specifically as well. 911 kind of ties back into Headley and the general operating millage. We've been talking about that at the tax advisory committee level and so forth. It's really all about funding at the end of the day. When we talk about the emergency medical services, the EMS, some of those things are still have yet to be coming to subcommittees here at the county. And so we haven't really gotten into those discussions today or at all. But they'll be coming forward on subcommittee levels and then to the Board of Commissioners as well. So I would say, I mean, looking at this list outside of the Headley, a lot of these other items on here are more operational, internal for admin to work through. I could add the regionalization of animal control to this list as well, because that's going to be an ongoing conversation. But the big one really was the general operating millage that we hit.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's yours.
Thanks. You stole it from my office?
No.
Did we on infrastructure and facilities discuss the creation of a new EMS station at Paul Oliver there in Frankfurt? I don't think that.
Station 5, yeah.
Well, it wasn't done yet, was the only
But
thing. But we committed the funding.
we committed the
It
funding.
just
and
wasn't
it-
done yet, so I wasn't
So
sure.
we're holding off on that till a 2026 accomplishment?
I mean, we could do both if you wanted.
I think,
I would
I think we could say we approved creating, and then in 2026, once it's, have we gotten an update on that recently?
Oh,
No,
You'd have to come to the podium.
I have not seen it, but I was in a meeting with Matt Delzio the other day because Tom King is away, and I believe it is finished and has walls and insulated and windows and stuff. They're actually picking out the countertop finishes and things like that.
Mhm.
So it is, I was surprised that they had gotten that far, but it's all,
it's pretty well.
I think
they're
it's pretty
close.
much well being done. They're just doing the fine tuning stuff, carpet and countertops and
Very good,
Yeah.
thank you.
I know we purchased a
Good to
couple
know.
appliances not too long ago,
Okay,
but it's darn close.
okay.
yeah.
So does anybody think that should be on the 2025? I mean,
I think so. At least.
no?
Oh,
Yours
you
is
should
on.
wait till-
Hold off.
Completed and they're in use. Rather
We-
than another building.
We identified it was a problem and we acted.
It can
Right?
be on both. I mean, we put the tower on both.
But yeah, we did.
Doesn't matter, I guess. I mean, if you're gonna put it on, you could say, 85% complete or.
Approved and contracted to
I'll say
build.
committed funding to address the needs of emergency
we go.
medical. Yeah.
Very good.
Committed.
Since we're on that subject, do we have a move-in date yet on that?
I don't know the actual move-in date, no.
And under what obligation are we to let Paul Oliver know when we're
So-
moving out?
Those conversations have happened as far as, hey, this is happening soon, those sorts of things. And they're just like, okay, cool.
Okay.
So
good.
there's nothing, they have bigger fish to fry. Everything I'm told is as soon as we move out, they're gonna knock that house down anyways. So,
Well, that'll make a statement to the public. Employees in a condemned building.
So beyond making our board goals geared towards supporting what administrations are there individual goals specific to the areas that commissioners represent that you want to identify at this meeting as things you'd like to tackle in your backyards?
Think I'm working on it. Everything we're doing, to me, and maybe this is just personal, is one step at a time. Don't get it all at once. If we can expand stuff, I'm really excited about the natural. Not gonna let that die, so, and, I brought it up last night at Thompsonville, well, when we getting ours? Like those kind of things, so, and just keep plugging away at them. DTE has made quite a commitment going forward here, so I think you just pick at them a little bit at a time.
You don't have to, jump into this conversation, but if there's anything that anybody would like to offer.
Well, I can tell you, my focus will continue to be economic development. And that probably will occupy me through the balance of my term, I suspect. And if I could, and if it's out of line, stop me, but I documented what each of you had said last year. And Rhonda, you had talked about sewer system and doing a feasibility study. Krista, you had talked about regulations on childcare.
Just opening up, I see a need for more childcare. I talked specifically about somebody I know who has to drop her child off in Frankfurt and then run over to Thompsonville and drop another child off and then come back to Frankfurt to go to work.
Sure.
So it's one of those things that's boy, we need more options.
Yeah, we do.
Probably.
We do. Tim, you talked about next generation of public safety. And Gary, you had talked about the expansion of natural gas and workforce study for efficiencies.
One of my goals remains the infrastructure down the corridor and expanding out in Benzonia Township. I think it would be a real boon for the county to have that. I think that we are waiting on the draft from Wade Trim for that feasibility study. Just a heads up that once it's done, I plan, my thought is a soft handoff to your new economic development coordinator. Whatever that looks like, when the study's done, it will be actionable as far as grants and things like that. So we'll have to talk about that down the road, what that looks like. But yes, it still remains for me, something I would love to participate in and see happen. So, and then the other thing is with your goals, I would like the board to be a partner in making some of these things easier. I draw my mind specifically to, I don't know how many times I've heard what a pain payroll is here. And one of the things as a board that I'm aware of that we've put in place is an incremental contribution to the 401k.
401A, but yeah,
Or, pardon?
it's 401. It's
Or
not
the
a K.
401, sorry. And that seems to me to be kind of tedious to have to always be, isn't it every 2 years?
Every year.
Every year that changes to a different amount.
It's, year one is 2%, year two.
We did a laddered approach to that. And it's not the first time I've heard it mentioned that creates a lot of work. So I don't know. Just let us know how we can be helpful.
I don't want to speak for Leslie, but she's working on a presentation to you in February to just go into the weeds on the payroll process and remittance process. Payroll itself isn't always necessarily the issue. It's the remittance that's the bigger issue.
Is there anything anybody'd like to add before we finalize this meeting? Hearing none, I will open the
Yeah, Leslie will
Yes.
quick say something.
Well, it's really kind of more of a departmental report. I wasn't here for the first part.
Yeah, I didn't see the HR on the
I
agenda.
know,
So
sorry,
we'll
but I
just add that in.
just wanted to take a moment while I have it to say that Benzie County in evidence is a fantastic place to work. And if you have time to go around to the departments, if you've not introduced yourself to the Benzie County staff here or just said hi, you will walk in and you will feel happiness, smiles, kindness, people that work together really well. And I think it's important to note that because if you look at our employment opportunities right now, we are nearly full staff at Benzie County. There's a corrections position that's open, but they're also training new corrections officers right now. Road patrol is full. And then EMS always has the ongoing applications. So I think that's pretty exciting. Our recent new hire for the.
Dispatch was full?
I don't have a posting right now because they're still training. So some of those emergency services, they don't want to take on too many training opportunities at the same time, right? You have a threshold. I can't speak for dispatch on that. Our new animal control officer has received her MDARD certification. That's filing with the state, 100 hours that per the state's requirement of animal control officer, things from her vet experience to going on the road. And she's went on with the Grand Traverse County Animal Control Officer, Manistee. Big thanks to our Sheriff's Department for facilitating road patrol opportunities for Ms. Leishman, sorry.
Ms. Leishman.
Leishman. So that's another evidence of what a great way that Benzie County works together is. That happened in a matter of weeks, guys. So now we have the ACO officer who's just doing a fantastic job with just a few short weeks. So just a moment to really note that. And if you, I know you guys come here, I see some of you throughout the week, you're here on the meetings, they're long days, we sit a lot, you're ready to get out when you're done. But if you haven't said hi to some of the staff here at Benzie County when you're around, please do so. It is what makes it worth it to come to work every day. And that's my report.
Leslie, while you have you there, did I understand that we're gonna reinstitute the year-end compensation summary for employees?
Talked about yesterday and doing it as it's by itself.
Oh,
and not
yes,
in the
yes.
W-2.
Yes. I think that's really important for all staff to know across the board and in any employment opportunity, what that looks like when you have an employer as great as Benzie County that's contributing to your healthcare, to your retirement, to your other benefits, to see what that looks like. So your hourly pay or your salary might be X amount of dollars, but here's really what that looks like in terms of benefits. So we are going to put that together. I did not feel that was appropriate to mail out at the time of W-2s, but
I
that's-
appreciate that you're in favor of creating that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important information as well.
Thank you.
I'm gonna echo that. We tried it and then it got tubed for a while. I think there's a real value, even if there's only 20% of the employees that care. I think it's important they know what it costs to be employed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I will open the last public comment. Seeing none, I will close it and I will look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second.